Do you think that curses exist? There are things in the world that, by their very nature, defy explanation. However, what is also mysterious is that occasionally these objects seem to have a life of their own. Occasionally, those who possess these objects are said to have misfortune or worse thrust upon them. These items are more common than you may imagine and can therefore have a significant negative impact on everyone in their vicinity. Here are several terrifying cursed objects that scientists are still unable to explain. Number 5. There are a ton of cursed objects that are various gemstones, and this one is a good place to begin. The Black Prince's ruby entered the historical stage in the middle of the 14th century as a possession of Abu Sa'id, the Moorish prince of Granada. Things weren't going well for him as he'd soon find himself going to a meeting with Don Pedro the Cruel. I wonder why Don Pedro the Cruel was called so, since he supposedly killed the prince as well as his slaves. During the search for Said's body, they discovered a spindle that belonged to Don Pedro. It was said that the horrific prince's murder had caused a curse that would follow Don Pedro forever, bringing misfortune or even death to anyone who owned the Black Princess ruby. Of course, a curse doesn't mean anything unless history supports it, and history does so in its own unique way. For instance, Don Pedro's half-brother led an uprising against him and lost both the ruby and the Civil War. Eventually, it was discovered that Henry V of England nearly perished while wearing the ruby in battle after a battle axe struck the helmet, claiming it was a pawn. Richard III is said to have died with the diamond on him, so that begs the question, where is it now? Despite some close calls, the gem remained in the hands of British royals, where it is currently situated at the center of the imperial state crown of England, above the Koh-i-Noor diamond. This crown is the subject of much debate, so the curse continues. Number 4. This is a timeless classic, so fasten your seatbelt. James Dean was undoubtedly one of the most well-known individuals in history, and his passing would shock the entire world. The car that killed him also startled many others due to the alleged curse it bore. When filming the iconic film Rebel Without a Cause, Dean drove a Porsche 356, which he later upgraded to a Porsche 550 Spider and tailored to his personal tastes. Dean went to lunch with Alec Guinness, the original Obi-Wan Kenobi, after he got the car. When Guinness looked at the car, he was uneasy because he felt it had a sinister quality to it. He then promised Dean that if he drove the car, it would probably kill him within a week. 7 days later, Obi-Wan's force powers came true, and Dean was killed in a horrific car accident in his Porsche 550 Spider. But that wasn't the end of it. George Barris, who had assisted in the construction of the upgraded vehicle, bought back the car with the intention of either restoring it or at least selling off the parts. A week later, the car fractured a man's legs when it slid off the trailer it was on. Barris subsequently started selling the Porsche's pieces to other customers, including Troy McHenry and William Ashford, who were racing cars that contained similar parts. McHenry perished after colliding with a tree, and Asher suffered serious injuries after losing control and rolling. But wait, there was more. The car would later be used on exhibits where exhibits either caught fire or had other mishaps, but the car itself escaped unscathed, and the truck drivers who moved the car also suffered mishaps. So where is the cursed car now? No one actually knows. Number 3. You may be familiar with the Conjuring film series, which centers on a real-life supernatural hunting team in extreme and fictitious settings as they investigate various ghostly and demonic threats. One of those films dealt with an actual doll named Annabelle, which is said to carry a curse. As such, things in this one might get a little strange. After being bought as a gift from a mother to her daughter, Annabelle the doll was first found in an antique shop in 1970. After that, odd things started to happen, such as the doll appearing in places that it wasn't put in and the daughter once seeing the doll stand up on its own. The girl eventually called in paranormal investigators, who revealed that the doll was possessed by the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins. The girl kept the doll, and things started to get really weird, including the doll allegedly attacking one of the girl's friends. Later, there were also bloody messages like "Help us" scattered throughout the house. The doll is currently in a glass cabinet in the Occult Museum in Connecticut. A sign on the cabinet reads, "Warning, do not open." Fun fact, once, a couple entered the museum and, not believing in the legend, tapped on the glass as if to provoke the doll. On their way home from the museum, they died in a car accident. Eventually, she would bring in another pair of experts, and they revealed that the doll had a demon within it and that the girl was more than fine with giving it away. Number 2. That last entry was a little scary, but do you want things to get even scarier? Well, then, the next cursed object story is about a vase that was given to a bride in northern Italy as a wedding gift. The vase was carved from pure silver in the 15th century. All in all, that's not too scary, but don't worry, the curse is coming on that bride's wedding night. She actually died and was found on the ground clutching the vase, vowing to kill the person who took her life. The vase was then passed down through the bride's family, but every single one of them would pass away under strange circumstances, which is really strange and creepy when you think about it. Eventually, the vase would be buried so that it wouldn't take the lives of anyone else, and it was a good plan that should have been thought of earlier, but in 1988, it was dug up again and it appeared that a parchment was with the vase reading, "Beware, this vase brings death." The person who found it sold it to a pharmacist who passed away 3 months later, and that pharmacist's family then sold it to a surgeon who passed away. An archaeologist followed, and 3 months after he bought the vase, a strange infection took his life. One random death is one thing, but multiple deaths, well, you can see why so many people have referred to this as a curse. After a string of deaths, make the vase disappear and disappear from sight. The police tried to give the vase to a museum, but they knew about the curse at that point and didn't want anything to do with it. Number 1. Here's one that could be considered cursed in a scientific sense. Giovanni Bragolin painted several pictures during the 1900s, but unlike many other artists, he chose to paint a picture of weeping boys. I could pass judgment on that artistic decision for the time being, but for now, I won't. Regardless of their content, tens of thousands of them could be found in England, indicating that people were happy to have this inside of their homes, despite the fact that it wasn't a good idea because one night a family would discover their house on fire, and even though they managed to escape in time, the entire house would be consumed and burned except the painting. Something strange that doesn't burn, or something else entirely? A number of fires broke out over time, and each time the paintings inside were unaffected by the flames. This is one thing, but several, well, that's unsettling, led newspapers to write about the incidents and refer to them as the blazing curse of the crying boy picture. Now, you might think that this would be the point at which the curse would end, but no, the fires continued, and word of the curse spread. The curse persisted because many people attempted to get rid of their paintings but apparently met with unsuccessful results. Stephen Punt then attempted to investigate the situation and explain why the paintings wouldn't burn. He claimed that the varnish had served as a fire retardant, which was the scientific curse I had been alluding to earlier. This explanation makes a lot of sense and was even supported by an actual painting of the crying boy, but it doesn't explain why there were so many fires in the homes in the first place. Which of these items do you genuinely believe to be cursed, or do you think there is another reason for the events surrounding them? If you are aware of any more purportedly cursed objects in the world, please let me know about them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.